Good evening and welcome all of you to this session today. Let me begin by asking you a question. Would you agree with me that the last 18 months have been very tough for all of us? If you agree that it has been a tough period that we are going through, please type Y in the chat box. Thank you, Swati. Thank you, Suchitra. Thank you, Uma. Thank you, Arti. My next question is, who do you think the pandemic has been harder for? Whether it has been hard for men or women, whom has it been harder for? If you think it has been harder for men, please type M in the chat box. If you think it has been harder for women, please type W in the chat box. And I'll request everybody to share your comments. Uma says women, Arti says women, Swati says for both, Suchitra says for both.
It is harder for men.
It's harder.
The statistical data says like that.
Yeah.
According to WHO. Yes.
Yeah. So there is a UN report, Dr. Rajendra, which says that the women have been the hardest hit. Let's see what are the response that comes from the people who are on the webinar today. And what we are getting to see is two women and two both. So it's kind of equal, if I may say, or maybe more women, if I were to say, look at it. So, I'll request you to mute yourself when you're not speaking. So now Dr. Sandhya has cast her vote in favor of women. So the scale has tilted, and it seems women have been the hardest hit, and that is what the UN also says. And it is not difficult to fathom why. In the days following the lockdown, the social support system completely crumbled, and women found themselves not only having to take care of the office work, but also the housework, school work, ailing family members, and everything else. And this is not where their problems ended. Instances of domestic violence increased manifold. As per reports from National Commission for Women, the incidences of sexual harassment went up by 5 times during the COVID period. Through the years of my working in insurance and healthcare sector and as members of the investigation committee, I have seen many cases of sexual harassment. And it really pains me to see how we treat women, and how with little bit of information the cases could have been handled differently. The outcomes could have been very different. When cases like this happened, it impacts not only the individuals but the entire families. And in many cases I have seen the careers have come to an end, whether it is the victim or the perpetrator. Sometimes the women stop working after something like this happens because of family pressure. Sometimes the perpetrator loses a job, and nobody else wants to hire. So there are so many challenges which happen due to this, and they could have been prevented by being mindful, by being aware of how to handle emotions and how to deal with the situation. And it is in this context, I thought of organizing the session today, and I reached out to Dr. Sandhya and requested her if she can address our community and share her insights. Dr. Sandhya is the founder of POSH Systems, and she's the council member of Anti-Sexual Harassment Council of WICCI in Maharashtra. She's also empaneled as an external member in POSH committees of multiple companies that include HDFC Bank. She comes with a rich experience of working in corporate sector for over 30 years in different companies across travel, IT, BPO, education sector. Her academic credentials are equally impressive. She is an Ayurvedic doctor and also a master's in law. She has done her TTT, trained the trainer from Dale Carnegie, and she has trained over 7,000 people. She has done certifications in prevention of sexual harassment at work. In my interactions with her, I found that she brings a very sharp mind and sensitivity which is required to deal with this topic, and hence I requested her to address us today. Before I hand over the stage to her, let me take a minute to introduce myself. My name is Ashish Kumar, and I'm the founder of Mindful Living. I started Mindful Living in 2018 with a mission to help 1 million working professionals lead their lives in a healthier, happier, and wealthier ways. Prior to starting Mindful Living, I worked in the corporate sector for over 25 years in leading in senior management positions. In the last 2.5 years, we have conducted over 250 sessions on mindfulness related topics for leading organizations like Airbnb, Aditya Birla Group, Tata Group, SDFC Life, Kotak Life, Times of India, CII, and many other, IBM, and many other organizations. Our session today takes forward our mission to make the world a happier and safer place for all. We are grateful to you for taking out time and joining us today. And with those words, I'll request Dr. Sandhya to take over the session and share her insights with us.
Thank you so much, Ashish, and good evening to all of you. As Aarti said that she's not heard much about this topic, and I'm also very excited to explain this topic to you. You may have some ideas, but I'm going to clarify all of it, and I'm going to, explain it to the best of my ability. So with that, let us just get started off. Let me just go into the slideshow mode. So we are going to talk about mindful behavior at work. So I was wondering, Ashish is asking me to do a session on sexual harassment, prevention of sexual harassment, and what does mindful behavior really have to do with it? And it sort of set me thinking. And I said, yeah, I think, what he's saying makes, there is a point in it, And so I sort of went and studied a bit more and wanted to know what is mindfulness. And then I realized that, many a times we do things just mechanically. But what is important is when you're doing something, you pay attention to it, what you're doing. We do things without thinking. Maybe you're driving a car, you're just driving because you're so experienced in it. You just keep driving, you're not really paying that much of attention. And the same thing applies when we do a lot of day-to-day work, which we it just happens, automatically. So mindfulness is basically, paying attention to what you're doing in that current moment. And it's very, very important because we may behave in a particular manner, not really realizing the impact of it on the other person. So it's very, very important that you are mindful about your behavior at your workplace. So I went and thought, is there some study which is linking mindfulness with sexual harassment? And I came across this paper which talks about how mindfulness can complement training relating to sexual harassment and racial discrimination by, counteracting gender biases, racial biases. Now you must be wondering, what does that racial bias and gender bias really have to do, and where does it come into our lives? Now, gender stereotyping is primarily, how is it that we expect a girl to behave? How is it that we expect a boy to behave? So it starts very in the early years itself. Like, the toys that we get for the girls, you can see what the toys look like. It's a kitchen, it's a, there's a sink and there's a fridge. And the toys that we get for the boys, we get some, maybe mechanical toys like trucks and cars and things like that. And, the girls, you will get something which is like pink in color. The boys you will associate with blue in color. If the boy wants to wear his sister's clothes, immediately he'll say, what's wrong with you? Why are you wearing this? That's how we start, the gendered stereotyping starts, right? And it carries on in later years. And then we have certain fixed ideas in our head about what a woman should do and what a man should do. So these ideas are what you call as gender biases. So like women should look after the home, They look after the cooking, they look after the kids, and women are weak. They are very emotionally, they're emotional and they will cry very easily. If a boy is crying, you'll say, "Arey, ladki hai kya? Ro kyun raha hai?" That's the way we talk. I mean, you must have heard it many, many times. And girls are generally shy, they are submissive, they are nurturers, they are caregivers. If a woman is being very dominating and assertive, you call her a tomboy, isn't it? Haven't you seen that? You've seen that, and you heard that happening. And women are inferior. So the men generally go out to work, and men are stronger. They don't cry, and they are leaders, and it's okay for them to be assertive. And man is superior. And when the food is being served, the men are served first, the women get served later. So you've seen that happening, and this has been happening for a very, very long time, and we are all aware of it. Now, when we come to this, I mean, what does sexual harassment have to do with these gender biases? You see, earlier the role of the woman was she would look after the home, etc. The man would go out to work. Later, as things progressed, the woman started stepping out to work. Now, with that, it brought insecurity in a man's mind. Today, she has taken up one man's job. The woman is working, she's taken up one man's job. Tomorrow, my job can go. And they wanted to ensure that they were more powerful. And that happened by, when they tried to sexually harass the woman. So man started harassing the woman sexually just in order to show his power, that he was stronger and he was more powerful. So it's very, very important that we do know what is appropriate behavior, what is inappropriate behavior, because the government has passed this act, and you definitely don't want to mess around with your careers because of your ignorance. It's important that you know what is acceptable, what is unacceptable, and what is it that a woman can do if she experiences sexual harassment at her workplace. So we're going to cover some details about what you call as the POSH Act. POSH is a synonym for it stands for Prevention of Sexual Harassment, and it is used to denote an act known as Sexual Harassment of Women at the Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act 2013. We are going to look at what this act is all about because it is applicable. It's come into place in 2013. Whom does it apply? Does it apply to you? Well, does it apply to your maidservant? So you need to know all these things. What is sexual harassment? What are the important definitions? What are the forms and types? And what is the punishment? And some of you may be employers. So what is the responsibility that the act casts on you? Are you aware of it? What is the price of non-compliance, and what are the kind of precautions you need to take? So we're going to cover all these things today. I'm trying to compress a 2-hour session into a 1-hour session to explain this whole thing to you. This is the act that we are talking about. Now, if you look at the definition of the act, it talks of sexual harassment, which means only sexual harassment is covered. Non-sexual harassment is not covered. So if somebody is scolding or bullying, would not be covered under the act. Of women, which means only a woman can complain, a man cannot complain under this act. At the workplace, it covers sexual harassment of women happening at the workplace. If it is not happening at the workplace, it is not covered under this act. It would be covered under the Indian Penal Code. The act seeks to prevent and prohibit sexual harassment and also provide a forum for redressal of complaints. So if a woman has a complaint, she can go and file a complaint, and there would be a committee which will handle the complaint for her. Where does it apply? Does it apply to everyone? Yes, it applies all over India. It is not gender neutral because it's only a woman who can complain. There have been times that I've been asked a question, what about men? I mean, if we get harassed, where do we go? So, well, generally, a lot of organizations have what you call as a code of conduct. And if a man is facing harassment, he can go and complain under the code of conduct. The act says that, sexual harassment of women impacts certain fundamental rights of a woman, and that, she should not be harassed. She's also entitled to have a safe working place. And it applies only to workplace related sexual harassment cases. So what was the reason? Why was it brought up? Why did the government pass this act? Because the government wanted that employers should create a safe and appropriate working environment for women employees. I mean, just like a man can go to work, a woman should be able to go to work. Why should she be sexually harassed? So the act casts the responsibility on the employer to create a safe working environment. It seeks to prevent, prohibit, and deter sexual harassment. We talked about that. to inform what behavior is appropriate, what is not appropriate, to provide a forum for handling the complaints, and to provide safeguards against false complaints. So just like the Act gives a weapon in the hands of a woman, if she experiences sexual harassment, she can file a complaint. At the same time, if she files a false complaint, she can also be punished. Can this act be misused? Yes, of course. I mean, there can be occasions where somebody may file a false complaint to, spoil the name of a for a colleague, or maybe to fulfill a personal agenda, or maybe in case a relationship has gone sour, and the woman may file a complaint. Like I had handled a case which was in Pune, where these two people were in a relationship for 1.5 years, and then they broke off. Now this boy kept on thinking that it's because of my behavior she has broken off. Okay, doesn't matter, we don't have a relationship, at least let's be friends. So he kept on sort of trying to approach this girl, saying that let's meet for drinks, let's meet for dinner. He would send her emails, and it was putting a lot of psychological trauma on this girl. And she knew about the POSH Act. The boy had no clue about it, and he kept on doing this. Now, this girl collected all this evidence and she filed a complaint of sexual harassment against him. From the 13 incidents that she complained, he was found guilty of 4 and he was punished. Now, a lot of times this act is there. Some organizations do it only as a checkbox compliance. They do it just because they're supposed to do it. They'll just do it, but they don't really follow what you call is the spirit of the law. They will do it just because they have to do it. They'll just have some sort of training or the other, and they will show that they have followed the compliance under this act. Why is it important for you to know? Now you can see this is a news clipping wherein the woman has threatened the HR person that, you give me money, you give me 7 lakhs, otherwise I'm going to file a false fake rape charge against you. So you can have these kind of things happening. Now this is relating to rape. A woman can say, listen, you give me a promotion, otherwise I'm going to file a sexual harassment complaint against you. I mean, this is something which can happen. So you as individuals, you as professionals need to know what are the provisions of this act. What are the features of this act? As I mentioned, only a woman can complain, but the harasser is not necessarily only a man. The harasser can be a woman. It could be a person of the third gender. Whether the woman is young or old, it really doesn't matter. It's not necessary that she's employed. And it is the employer's responsibility for creating the mechanism to handle the complaints. And it applies to workplace-related harassment. So what are the different definitions under this act? Now, these definitions are extremely important. When we talk of sexual harassment, what do we understand by sexual harassment? So it needs to satisfy 3 criteria. 1, the behavior must be sexual in nature. So if it is a non-sexual behavior, it will not be covered. As I mentioned, somebody scolding, shouting, those things will not be covered. It must be unwelcome. The woman doesn't like it. Now, say, for example, Harish tells Anita, hey, you look sexy, and she's okay with it, and she smiles and takes it as a compliment and goes away. So in her case, it is not unwelcome. She's okay with it. So the behavior must be sexual in nature. It must be unwelcome. The woman doesn't like it. And it must occur at the workplace. So what is a workplace? We are going to look at that also. Now, it really doesn't matter. The other people have, that kind of behavior has been happening in the past and nobody has objected. It really doesn't matter. Or the other people don't mind, the guys calling them sexy or something. It really doesn't matter. What matters is what the woman feels. If she feels unwelcome, the behavior is sexual in nature, it's happening at the workplace, she can complain. Let's have a look at this film.
This next scene explores the concept of what unwelcome means. Let's take a look.
Hey. Hey, yourself. Here, tell me what you think.
Wow, nice. I hope they appreciate it out there. I'm sure the peppers are nice and thick. Catch you later. They're killing me with special orders.
Oh, tell me about it.
Is Kristen good looking?
Lots of work.
Oh, this looks good enough to you.
Oh, no, it's not done yet. It's not done.
Well, you really outdone yourself this time.
Thanks. Oh, boy, I have a lot to do if you don't mind.
Excuse me.
Well, What do you think? We saw similar behavior from the waiter and from the chef, yet her reaction to each was quite different. Whether something is welcome or not is up to the recipient.
Right.
This
Now let's look at what is a workplace, and this is an extremely important definition because the act applies to sexual harassment of women which happens at the workplace. So what are the places that are covered? What kind of organizations are covered? So you have commercial organizations, colleges, sports associations, professional organizations, doctors, lawyers, entertainment houses, cinema houses, in manufacturing companies, hospitals, health-related clinics, laboratories, banks, all financial organizations, government organizations, hospitals, nursing homes. A dwelling place or a house, your home is also a workplace for your maidservant. And it also covers what you call as extended workplaces. So what do you mean by extended workplaces? These are places which are visited by the employee during the course of her employment. Now, say in an organization, you are having a Diwali party and the admin person is going to the mall to pick up some gifts for Diwali, for the Diwali party. Now, in an incident which happens over there, well, that would also be covered under the POSH Act because it has happened in the course of her employment. Similarly, transportation provided by the employer, like, many a times you may have a cab which is dropping an employee off home after a shift, or some cab picking her up, or a bus which is there. Any kind of misbehavior which happens with a co-traveler may happen with the driver, that would also be covered under the definition of extended workplaces. And business travel, attending a conference, exhibitions, you're going there, you're going on behalf of the organization. So any kind of an incident which happens when you're going for a conference or at the conference also, well, that would also be covered under the extended workplaces. Company sponsored picnics and parties, very, very common. I mean, you may go for an office party and many a times, people get drunk and then they misbehave. It would be covered under this act, and a woman who is harassed can always complain. Similarly, digital workspaces, like, meeting rooms, you're having a Zoom call or you're having a, online discussion or a phone call or an email or, messaging, all that, any kind of misbehavior, any kind of inappropriate remarks, etc., would also be covered under extended workplaces. And office provided accommodation or amenities, your office cafeteria, gym, the guest house which is there. So all those would also be covered under the extended workplaces. Similarly, we have gone for a conference. You're staying in a hotel room. Somebody comes and misbehaves. Well, that woman can complain under the POSH Act. So this is very important definition. Now, whom does the Act seek to protect? The Act seeks to protect employees who are on rolls, contract employees. It could be a temporary employee. It could be a daily wage worker. It could be a person employed through the contractor. Whether the principal employer knows about it or not. Like, for example, you may have outsourced housekeeping to another contractor. Now, the contractor has appointed some people. Now, it is not necessary that the MD of the organization will know who the people are. So it doesn't matter whether the person knows or doesn't know. Whether the person is being paid or not being paid, whether a person is a volunteer, whether you have a written contract or you don't. So it includes your, apprentices, it includes your management trainees, interns, all these people. If any kind of an incident of sexual harassment takes place, well, this person can complain. Now, when we come to what are the various forms of sexual harassment, if any of you would like to unmute and tell me, how would a man or any other person harass a woman? Any of you would like to give me an example? Just unmute and speak. That's fine. Just take a couple of minutes to get some inputs. How can a woman be harassed? How does a woman get harassed?
There is a comment by Aarti, inappropriate touch or comment.
Correct. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, sharing inappropriate messages, content.
Correct. What else?
Language, use of different inappropriate language, or anything that makes a woman uncomfortable.
Correct.
Sharing of content that may be sexually colored, those kind of things.
Sure. So she's given quite a few examples. So let's have a look at it.
Hello, ma'am. This is Dr. Radhika.
Yeah, Radhika, go ahead.
Actually, I faced one small form of this harassment long back. Like when I met a person, like in a meeting, who is very, I mean, he knows me very well, and I also know him very well. He gave me a shake hand, which was for a long time, like shaking my hand for a long time, and like pinching with his what do you call pointing finger, like it's for 2 minutes to 3 minutes. So
Okay.
I'm trying to take back my hand, and he is doing the shake handing for a long time. So that is one thing where afterwards I could felt very inconvenient, and I can tell that is also one form of harassment, sexual harassment.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right, Radhika, and thank you so much for sharing this. And we're going
Thank you, ma'am.
to physical contact or advances, touching a woman inappropriately, any physical contact without her consent. Then you have some other examples, showing pornography, sending sexually explicit jokes or some pictures, or putting up, a poster on your softboard, or maybe when you're having a meeting, you got something inappropriate in the background. You see, some poster in the background. So these kind of examples are there, which will fall under showing pornography. Then making sexually colored remarks, calling somebody, hey, sexy, or what a hunk, and, things like that. So hunk, you would generally refer to a man. But so since this is a woman who can complain, so calling someone she's really sexy and all, telling sexual jokes and stories, asking what are your preferences, sexual preferences, teasing a woman about her body, etc., and all some similar offensive comments would also be one of the forms of sexual harassment. Another one, demand or request for sexual favors, repeatedly asking somebody out who's not interested. So Radhika, if you have somebody else who's asking you out, Radhika, come along, let's go for coffee. And Radhika says, no, I don't want to go. Again, 2 days later, the person is still asking her and she again says no. Now, if this person keeps persisting, despite a very clear indication of disinterest by Radhika, Radhika can go ahead and file a complaint. Similarly, abusing authority. The senior is probably forcing the junior, listen, let's go for a movie and all. And she finds it very difficult to say no because the person is at a senior level, etc. And she's afraid that if she will not agree to it, probably he may not confirm her or maybe not give her a good appraisal. So he's abusing his authority. Or falsely accusing somebody behind closed doors for sexual favors. So you may have a manager who's sitting in the room and the woman housekeeping staff is coming to do the cleaning, and he catches hold of her hand and she pushes his hand away and she says, what are you doing? I will tell people you're holding my hand. And he says, if you do that, I will tell people you have stolen the money which was on the table. So what is he doing? He's sort of falsely accusing her behind closed doors for sexual favors. Then you also have another form, physical, verbal, or non-verbal conduct of a sexual nature, like making kissing sounds, flying kiss, staring at a woman, winking at her, making her feel uncomfortable. Sometimes, the way the man looks, the woman can gauge that, he's not looking at her in a proper manner. It's a very inappropriate gaze. Blocking somebody's way. So these are various examples. Standing too close, making sexual gestures with the hands or through the body movement. So these are the various forms in which sexual harassment can happen. If it happens, a woman can very easily complain. Let's have a look at this.
Sir, last month total shipment module. এই দুটো clearance এখনো বাকি.
This film is in Bengali, but you have English subtitles, so you can see that.
স্যার এইদিকে
ঠিক আছে এবার করলে তো তুমি কাজটা শেষ করতে পারবে না, আমি দেখে দিচ্ছি। দেখো দেখো অনন্যা, আপনার ড্রেসটা না খুবই সুন্দর। ড্রেসটা পরলে না আপনাকে দারুণ হট লাগে। কি সুন্দরী,
এত কাজে মনোযোগ দিলে হয়? আশেপাশের মানুষদের দিকেও তো একটু মনোযোগ দিতে হবে।
আশেপাশে তো অনেক মানুষ ভাই, কয়জনের দিকে মনোযোগ দেব?
তোমাকে তো বলেছি তুমি আমার দিকে একটু মনোযোগ দাও, আমি বসকে বলবো তোমার প্রমোশনের দিকে মনোযোগ দিতে।
আপনার প্রতিবাদ না করার মানে সম্মতি প্রদান করা, যৌন হয়রানিকে উৎসাহিত।
Right?
স্যার,
So, while people are working from home, you may have thought that incidents of sexual harassment would have gone down. But well, it can also happen virtually. Let's give you an example. Now, this, sales professional, she's working and she has a weekly call with her boss. And whenever she's having a call, he insists that she adjusts the camera in such a manner that the upper half of her body can be seen. And she feels extremely uncomfortable because she feels as if her body is on display. You may also have such incidents. The man is not wearing a shirt, or he may wear a shirt which has got inappropriate stuff written on it, or the use of inappropriate emojis. Did you ever know about this? That if you use inappropriate emojis, somebody may find it objectionable, particularly when it's a professional chat. Or a poster on the wall with provocative content where the person is sitting, the poster on the back is something so provocative that if a woman is talking to this person, she can see that and it sort of embarrasses her. There have been actual cases where, the doctors have done online consultations for COVID patients. People have registered, and when they have come for the consultations, they have either, there have been cases of masturbation, there have been cases of where people have passed lewd remarks, and it has been extremely embarrassing for the doctors. There have been cases where a 15-year-old boy in Rajasthan, he came to the class was going on, and he exposed himself in front of the women teachers. So this is how it can even happen in the virtual space. Also, calling any time or scheduling meetings at short notice, insisting on video calls, unwelcome calls in the middle of night. And then, this lady receives a call from a boss at 11 p.m. in the night, and the boss wants to discuss something and he wants to have a video chat. Now, why would he want to have a video chat at 11 in the night? And when she picks up the phone, she answers it, she finds that whatever he wanted to discuss was something so unimportant, it could have been easily handled over an email, and he also sounded drunk. I mean, these are the ways in which sexual harassment can happen in the virtual space, or even in work from home scenarios. And these incidents are all covered under POSH. Remember the extended workplaces we talked about? Any kind of an incident like this will be covered under the POSH Act. Now, you may have somebody saying that, hey, but I didn't intend to harass this one. Say, for example, Harish has sent Anita a sexually explicit picture. And then when Anita is complaining about it, he says, hey, hang on, I didn't want to send it to you. I wanted to send it to Amit. I didn't want to send it to you. I had no intention of harassing you. Well, in such cases, the intention doesn't matter whether the person intended or did not intend. It really doesn't matter. What matters is what is the impact on the woman. If she feels uncomfortable, the behavior is of a sexual nature, it has happened at the workplace, she can complain. So you've understood what are the various forms of harassment. Now there are different types of sexual harassment. So there are two types of sexual harassment. One is called as a quid pro quo, and the other one is a hostile environment. Would anyone be able to tell me what does a quid pro quo mean? So quid pro quo primarily means this for that. You do this for me, I'll do that for you. So it can happen where the person has given an explicit or an implied promise of a favorable treatment for sexual favors. So it could be something like, hey, listen, why don't we go for dinner together? We have to do your appraisal in any case. So there is a hint that if you come with me for dinner, I will give you a good appraisal. And if the woman refuses, acha, theek hai, you don't want to come, that's okay, it doesn't matter. Your appraisal is still pending, no, we'll see. So what is the threat? That if unfavorable treatment, if the person is refusing, or the threat could be about the present employment, like maybe something relating to a confirmation or putting the person on a particular project or something, or it could be about the future employment. Say, for example, the HR person has interviewed 5 people, of which he likes one girl, and he tells her, listen, I think you did your interview very well, but before I recommend you to go for the second round, I need to know you better. Let's meet in the evening for drinks. So there's a threat, of, he wants to meet her. If she meets him for drinks, he will, send her across for the second round. Otherwise, he would not. So this generally happens when you have somebody who's in a powerful position and the other person is in a less powerful position. So the person who is in a powerful position is able to impact the employment of the other person. So this is what it happens. See, this is another case which got published in the news. Reporting manager asked for sex in return for favors. Incidentally, I know these people. Let's have a look at an example of a quid pro quo.
How many times am I supposed to tell you, Tulsi? Didn't I tell you to file these papers 3 days ago? I sent you an email reminding you of it also. That delay has cost us a huge penalty and we have lost our major client. How are we supposed to compensate for that now, huh?
I'm sorry, sir. I told Rohan. He said he would email it, but...
No, Tulsi, it was your responsibility, not Rohan's.
Sir, but I told him to, and he said...
I don't care what you told him. What did I tell you? I'm sorry, but we have to let you go.
Sir, I'm sorry, sir. Please, sorry, it won't happen again.
Okay. Stop crying. Listen, maybe we can work something out. Why don't you stay back after work and you can go back to my place?
Sir, what do you mean?
Come on, Tulsi, you know what I mean. You're a smart girl.
Right? So this was an example of a quid pro quo. Then there is another type which is called as the hostile environment, wherein the environment is hostile. It is either physically, verbally, or visually hostile. And it could involve things like criticizing a person, insulting, blaming, so much so that the person dreads coming to the office, or passing remarks which will damage a person's reputation. I know of a case wherein the HR head was talking to the security guard. He used to talk to him and find out what time each of his team members went. And one day he said, this girl, Anita kitne baje gayi? And the person guard told him. So he said, Arey, that girl and that other fellow, दोनों का चक्कर चल रहा है. उनको अफेयर करना है तो ऑफिस के बाहर जाके क्यों नहीं करते? Why are they having an affair in the office? Management knows about it. Management will take action against them. Now, this was actually not true. But what was he actually doing? He was damaging the person's reputation. Then this girl obviously got to know about it and she filed a complaint. Visual harassment can be pornographic pictures displayed at the workplace, or a picture of a woman in a bikini, etc. So I'm going to show you, and even passing remarks about a particular person, women gossiping about another girl. So those are examples of hostile environment. Have a look at this small film.
And you remember that team picnic we went? In one photo, she was standing so close to him. What was that?
Oh, and I heard she went and liked all his Facebook pictures. Everything. But she does that with everybody there. She liked even all of my pictures with her.
It's different for him.
Not the same.
It's different.
Shh.
You saw?
That's right.
And so much makeup. What is this office?
You will have seen the office.
3 years I've been working. No promotion, nothing. I know, man. Actually, what did she do to deserve this? I know what she did. What? No, these days you study or you. Oh, hi, yeah. Hi. How are you doing? Good. Nice salwar kameez, deep neck, nice body fitting. Where are you stitched? It's very beyond your stitch. Huh? No, nothing. Only 1 cup of coffee. Not taking one for the boss today. No, you usually take, no? Nothing. Go. These days, no, these modern women. No, but that's what you need to maybe I should also do something like this.
Hey, Tisha.
Huh?
Had a meeting with the boss, sir.
Yeah.
Some personal meeting, this was?
Huh?
No, some personal meeting, because nobody else was called for it. Anyway, congratulations on your promotion.
Thanks.
Hope it didn't make you work too hard for it, huh?
You saw the snide remarks that were being passed? That's an example of hostile environment. Now, woman has experienced sexual harassment. She needs to take some action. So what action can she take? Now, in any complaint, there are two parties. One is the victim. She is a woman. She could be of any age. She could be employed. She could be a visitor. She could be a client visiting the office. And the other person is the respondent or the harasser. It could be a man, woman, or a person from the third gender. Same way, he could be employed. He could be a vendor. He could be a client. He could be a visitor to the organization. So what can she do? She has to file a complaint. So how will she file a complaint? She can give a physical letter, or she can send an email to the committee which handles these complaints. That committee is called as an internal committee. A woman who experiences sexual harassment at the workplace has got two forums available. She can file a complaint with the internal committee under the POSH Act, and she can also file a complaint with the police under the Indian Penal Code. When should she, what is the time limit for her to complain? So if there is one incident, she gets 3 months time to complain. If there are a series of incidents, he is arrested in Jan, arrested in Feb, arrested in March, the 3 months will start from the date of the last incident. Now, in case if a woman has not been able to complain in the 3-month period for various reasons which were beyond her control, or some circumstances which such, maybe she went away to her native place, she comes back in the 4th month and there she did not have any internet connectivity and she's unable to complain. So she may request the committee saying that please give me some extra time to file the complaint, and the committee may give her up to 3 months extra to file the complaint. What should she include in the complaint? What happened? Where did it happen? When did it happen? What is the name of the harasser? What is the time? What is the relationship between the two parties, the harasser and the victim? Is he a boss? Is he a client? So you need to put down all these things, and she also needs to submit witness evidence. If she has any evidence, sometimes it may be a WhatsApp chat, it may be a phone call, and list of witnesses if she has. So she has to provide all this information in the complaint. So then this complaint goes to a committee which is called as an internal committee. So any organization which has got 10 employees or more needs to have a committee in place which handles these complaints. So what does the committee do? It handles the complaints. It's created under the provisions of the POSH Act. It has the powers of a civil code. So whatever the committee decides, the employer has to follow. Now you may ask, what if an organization has got less than 10 employees? Where do they go? So they go to the local committee, where in any case where there is an organization has less than 10 employees, or the complaint is against the employer. So if you look at your domestic servant, if supposing there is a incident which happens with her and she is harassed, if she wants to complain, she can go to the local committee and complain. Similarly, any other person who's working in an unorganized sector where they don't have more than 10 people, they don't have the committee in place, she can go to the local committee and she can complain. Now, a woman who's filed a complaint, do you think she's going to be comfortable working with that same person the next day? She's not going to feel comfortable, and the entire team, the atmosphere will be tense because everybody can feel that there is a cold war going on. So she can ask for some reliefs. What kind of relief can she ask for? She can ask for transfer, that can you please transfer me to another department, or transfer the harasser to another department. She can request for leave. And the internal committee can grant her leave up to 3 months, which is a paid leave over and above her regular leave. And the harasser, if he is a manager, he should not be allowed to do her appraisal or prepare any reports because she has obviously filed a complaint against him. So he's not going to give her a good report in any case. So he should not be allowed to report or evaluate her performance. Now, at times, say for example, I gave you that example of Harish has sent a message to Anita, and he has sent her a sexually explicit picture, and he is very apologetic, and he tells, Anita, I'm really very sorry. I didn't mean to harass you and all. I'm very sorry. I'll give you a written letter of apology. So if she, she wishes, she can settle the matter. He will give a written letter of apology, and the case is closed. So what will the IC do? IC is the internal committee, will record that both of them want to settle the matter. They'll document the terms, both of them will sign it, and the case gets closed. However, there may be situations where the committee may not allow settlement. For example, money is the basis of the settlement. The person, Harish tells Amita, hey, I'll give you a 5,000 rupees Big Bazaar voucher. Why don't you just withdraw the case? So if IC gets to know that money is being exchanged, they will not allow the matter to get settled. Or if the offense is of a serious nature, which they will feel that, no, this cannot be settled, it has to go through the inquiry. Or if the complainant has not given a request. So if she wants to settle the matter, she has to give a request in writing. So IC will inform her that there is an option to settle. If you wish to settle, this is the way you can do it. Now, in case if the person is from a different company, like, the woman has gone for a conference and the person who's misbehaved is from a different company, then the internal committee will forward the complaint to the respondent's company, the harasser's company. Why? Because if he has to be punished, it is that company which will be able to punish that person. And if it's an outsider, then the IC will forward the complaint to the police within 7 days. Now the inquiry is over. What happens? What is the kind of punishment? So after the inquiry, either the offense is proved or it is not proved. So if the offense is proved, the person is punished. If it is not proved, no action is taken against the respondent. If the IC finds that the woman has filed a false complaint, then action is taken against the woman. But just because a woman has not been able to prove her case, it does not mean that it is a false complaint. Maybe it's a lack of evidence. Something has happened behind closed doors. There's no evidence at all. It could be a situation like that, right? Now, what is the punishment that is given? It can be a written apology. It can be a warning. It can be withholding promotion, withholding pay hikes, termination from service, counseling, community service. The IC may also levy a financial penalty, because if something pinches the harasser's pocket, it serves as a deterrent. That person will not do it. And on what are the parameters which the IC will keep in mind when deciding how much penalty and how much fine? The IC will look at what is the trauma that the woman has gone through, whether she had a loss of career opportunity. There was a very good project. Because of this mental trauma and harassment, she could not go for the project. It impacted her career. She has spent money on medical expenses. What is the income and the status of the harasser, and what is the income and status of the victim? So if the person is at a senior level, the penalty will be levied, higher penalty will be levied. If the person is at a junior level, penalty will be levied according to his salary. Now, whether this money should be given as a lump sum or should it be given in installments. So the IC will look at all these aspects before deciding the matter. Now, provisions under the Indian Penal Code. You see, if a woman has gone to the police and filed a complaint, in case if there is a physical contact or demand or request for sexual favors or showing pornography against the will of the woman, the punishment can be rigorous imprisonment for a term which may be up to 3 years, or fine, or both. And in case the person has made sexually colored remarks, then the punishment can be either simple or rigorous for a term up to 1 year, or with fine, or with both. So if a woman goes to the police, the punishment can be up to, from 1 year to 3 years also, right? What is the responsibility of an employer? You may be an employer, you may have your own organization. So you have to have a policy in place, put up posters, have a committee in place in case you have more than 10 employees. You need to conduct trainings, employee awareness training for the committee, because they need to know how to handle the complaint. You also need to follow the compliance, like, whatever support the internal committee needs, you have to provide that support. If the woman wants to file a complaint with the police, you have to, help her to file it. And you have to submit the report, annual report, at the end of the year. So the year is generally Jan to December. Reports are to be filed in Jan, generally by the 31st of Jan. If you do not follow this compliance, you don't create a committee and you don't act on the recommendations, don't file the report, or non-compliant on any of the provisions, for the first offense, the penalty can be as high as 50,000. We repeat the offense, penalty can be double. It can also lead to cancellation of business license. This is Medanta Hospital case, wherein they did not have a committee in place, and this woman had filed she wanted to complain. She went to court. The court levied a penalty of 50,000 for not having a committee in place and asked the employer to pay her 25 lakhs. So the penalties can be really high. This is a very recent case. Loyola College ordered to pay 64.3 lakhs. So penalties can be very heavy. There was another case where the penalty was 1 crore 68 lakhs. So how do you keep yourself safe? Don't mix personal and professional lives. Keep things purely professional. Avoid acting in a way that suggests that you're attractive to a subordinate or a co-worker. Avoid dating from the office. And do not use terms like, how are you, honey, or how are you, babe, or something. You don't know how the other person is going to react. And don't pass negative comments about a co-worker's gender. अरे ये औरत लोग को कुछ दिमाग होता है क्या? उनका दिमाग चलता ही नहीं, उनका दिमाग तो खाली फैशन में चलता है. Please don't talk like that, and don't look at the woman in a very lustful manner, or be cautious and be respectful of the way you deal with the women. So, and to come to an end, in the words of Swami Vivekananda, the best thermometer to the progress of a nation is its treatment of its women, and there is no chance of the welfare of the world unless the condition of women is improved. It is not possible for the bird to fly on one wing. Right? With this, we come to an end of today's session.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sandhya.
If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Yes, yes. And while we are waiting for the questions to come, I'll share some comments that have come. So Fawzia says, such a sensitive subject explained with so much of ease. Excellent. There is a message from Suvarna which says that Dr. Sandhya, you're explaining very well in detail, thanks. And then she is requested for recording of the sessions so that she can share it in all her girls groups. So there is so much of power in sharing, and this message is so important. Yeah. When the awareness spreads, people can protect themselves and take care of themselves better. Yes. Any questions, comments, anyone? Sushita
Hello.
Says, yes, yes.
Hello, sir. This is Dr. Radhika, sir.
Yes, Radhika.
Ma'am, your explanation is very lucid, and as someone said, it's really like it's normal thing. It's not like something, what do you call, something like unique or something different from the original state. But the thing is, ma'am, I would like to ask one question, ma'am, actually. In my office, I just go to, I need to travel for 1 hour to go to my office. If generally I go late by 15 minutes or 20 minutes daily, and other employees also come late by more than 2 hours also. But generally the attention is only on me every time. The employer always asks me why you are coming late, and I will put you absent for the day, and he puts attention on me only, but he will not give any other what do you call criticisms on other employees. Can this be considered as harassment or sexual harassment or some sort of thing?
Okay, very good question. So this is, see, now what is he asking you? He is asking you, why are you late? Okay, so
yes,
and you are the only person who's getting targeted. So this could, it will fall under code of conduct. So you can complain to HR that this is, because this is the kind of, he's only, asking me such questions. He's not asking anybody else. He's creating a hostile environment for me. He can say that. But remember, he's justified. He may not ask others, but he's justified in asking because you are late. But there is nothing sexual in this. So since there's nothing sexual in it, it will not fall under POSH. If there is something sexual in it, then only it will fall under POSH. As a manager,
as you told, there was a word called intimidating in your one slide. I saw that word intimidating. So it's like intimidating only, like threatening me sometimes. So if you are late every day, I will pay you half salary in that way. So can we include that or not? That is my question.
No. So the same thing, if he says it to a man, would it amount to sexual harassment? It would not.
Okay.
He's threatening you, so you can say that this kind of behavior is unprofessional, and you can complain to HR about it, but it would not fall under POSH. But you need to have, if there is something, if supposing he's telling you, listen, let's meet, let's go out for a movie or something, and because you're not doing it, he's threatening you, then it would fall under sexual harassment, otherwise no. So there has to be something sexual connected, only then you can put it under POSH. Otherwise, it will go under unprofessional behavior, and you can complain to HR about it. Of course, you will not. You cannot even call it unprofessional because you are supposed to be at a particular time and you're not there.
Yes, yes. Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, Tanuja.
Sandhya ji, I recently got a call, and this is from a known ex-colleague of mine.
Yeah.
Right. And it was like it is actually not a harassment. It was a relationship. Admitted that she had a relationship in her past organization. She left that organization, and it was a private limited where husband and wife both were the directors of in the company. So what happened was this: the owner of that organization, he had they had a relationship with a mutual consent, and all the stories the husband used to narrate was that they are not having divorce just because they are more worried about the future of the kids. Otherwise, they don't have good relationship as a couple, and that was evident in their at their workplace also. That the husband and wife, they used to fight in the office also. So now what happened is that she has left this company. It's almost 6 months now. But what happened, when this thing, when the wife came to know everything about the husband, what she did is she came next day to the office and she took the phone of this girl.
Oh, so he was having some affair with a girl, is it?
Ha.
Okay.
She was having an affair, and the girl also admitted that I was having a relationship, right?
Yeah.
Now, what has happened that it's, she said that it was like a confrontation, and both of them admitted, and they accepted that's over now. She left the organization. It's almost 6 months now. But no, now what the wife is doing is that she has taken the phone. So it had all the numbers of that phone, and that was her personal phone.
Yeah.
Of this girl.
Yeah.
And now she has taken the screenshot of those chats and forwarded it to the father, brother of the girl. And she is now trying to blackmail this girl. She is not working with this. So she called me up and she said, suggest me what to do. I said that if she has already sent it.
Tanuja, she should file a complaint with the police. That is
what I said, that the ultimate thing is to file a complaint to the police.
Yeah, yeah.
But because the lady was also the owner. So
that he's an owner, but she's, so this woman has already left and she's taken away the phone. So she has, it's like, snatched away her property, and now she's threatening her.
So that is what I said, that aap snatching the complaint dalo, and I can draft you the complaint and tell her before that you have already spoiled my relationship with my father at my family and anything. Any next message, then I'm going to file this complaint at police station.
Yeah, so she should actually go ahead and file. Why is she waiting? What is she waiting for?
She hails from Dehradun, so wahan par she is not, and she hails from some nearby town, Saharanpur वगैरह से है. So she says that she is not aware of the police stations and everything out there. So I said that's not an issue. You tell me everything. I'll work out the detail. I'll send there. Yeah. But I told her that before going in for police, because it's not a known city to you.
Correct. Yeah.
Tell her once and then file the complaint at police station.
Sure. Thanks for that question, Tanuja. Shipra ma'am, is there something you would like to share?
Thank you. I had a question for Dr. Sandhya. Thank you very much for sharing this wonderful session. And even after holding experience in HR, there were certain things that I actually got from this session which I wasn't aware of. So a few things that I wanted to check, but just that, give me a second to put off this cooker, otherwise this is going to interact. Just a second.
While we are waiting for Shipra ma'am to come, I'll also like to thank the sponsors of our session today. We have Mr. Sanjeev Gujral and Vibhor Garg of InsureSure who are there with us in the session. And the session today is sponsored by them. Sanjeev is the founder of InsureSure, which is an insurance broking startup. And in the relatively short period of 1 year's time, they have insured assets worth 5,000 crores. So, I thought I'll just share with everyone. This is a noble initiative by the InsureSure and GoodX Insurance Broking to spread message of safety and, at workplace, particularly for women. So we are grateful to InsureSure team for taking this initiative. Thank you. And
thank you for sponsoring. Thank you for sponsoring.
Dr. Sandhya, one thing that I wanted to check, right? I know while we are all working virtually at this moment, it's been more than 1.5 years, and specifically IT space where all these online meetings and everything is sort of regular stuff for us. Now, there are, of course, meetings that happen beyond the office hours as well. And can we do something about it? Maybe not, because we work in a global environment, and it is pretty likely that people may have to attend to certain meetings in odd hours. With what you said about the virtual meetings, does that mean that if a woman employee is uncomfortable or is pushed into a situation which managers specifically asking her only for a meeting or things like those, do we consider that as inappropriate, or conducting meetings in beyond office hours as inappropriate?
So, Shipra, it's an excellent question. Now, when you are hiring the person, and if you are a global organization, your, the employment contract will mention the timings that the person needs to work. A good practice would be to have do's and don'ts of, work from home scenarios incorporated in the policy. Like, if you should have, like, in case you're having a call with a person after office hours, don't insist on a video chat. Or if you want to reach out to the person, if it's an urgent thing, send a message and then reach out. Or maybe, you can, if the person doesn't respond, then you call. And you could have what you call as a do's and don'ts, which you follow in the work from home scenarios. That will take care of things. And, the employees need to be sensitized. You can't get into personal spaces. You can't talk about, personal stuff. Hey, I sent you a, request on Facebook. And the person is not accepting it, then persisting that, okay, why you didn't accept, and sending out emojis which are showing that the the kiss emoji or the heart emoji and all those things. So if you sensitize people, then it's absolutely no problem. What is important is people don't realize the boundaries and they keep stepping over boundaries.
Got that. Sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that question, Shipra ma'am.
Thank you very much, Ashish, for this wonderful session. Very enlightening, and I'm sure to speak to Dr. Sandhya after this session. I've got a number, and this is going to be very interesting.
I condensed the 2-hour session into like 15 minutes or so.
I can relate to it. We spend lakhs of money to educate our people on this subject every year. And imagine the kind of information we're getting in this just an hour session. Very, very thankful for this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I understand that we've extended the time a little bit by a couple of minutes. So I'll check with Dr. Sandhya. Are you okay to extend in case there are more questions, or should we, depending on your schedule and comfort?
Absolutely, no problem. I'm here to answer your questions.
So, while we are open to take more questions, I'll also like to draw the session to a close for anyone who would like to leave. And thank you for joining us. Our next session will be on next Saturday. We will convey the time to you, and it is on body intelligence, tapping into the body intelligence. That's a session we are doing on meditation, body scan meditation. So that's a very good session. I'll request you to block your time and stay connected with us. We have shared the link to stay connected with us through WhatsApp community in the chat. You can use that to stay connected with us and join us.
Ashish, there is a question there. There is a question there by Radhika.